Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wind-Up. My name is Gavin, and of course, I'm also known as the Circus Monkey. We also have Nick with us and a special guest, Mike. Mike and Nick, how are we doing today, gentlemen?
I am so happy to see your face again, Gavin. I missed you. As much
Yeah.
as I loved talking with Mike last week, and of course our great friend Martin, a guy here at the Game Changer. I miss you, man. It was terrible. There was no helmets. There was no great green screen. There was no that wonderful voice that was deleted.
With the logo on it.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, hey, thanks for holding things down for you guys. For those of you who don't know, my wife and I were in a car accident, so we had some troubles with stuff. Everybody's good, no one's hurt, the car's total. And the deer is now in our freezer. So, but everybody's good. We're all happy. I'm back. Thank you guys so much for holding things down while we were gone last week. But hey, wow, we got people popping off. Good to see everybody. We got boys. We got Andrew Jolly. What's up, guys? Heather, of course, as usual, is here with us. We greatly appreciate all of our wonderful fans. Joshua Calkins, a man, all his logo proud. What's up, Josh? Josh is one of my buddies from my memorabilia groups. Good guy. So let's jump right into it, guys. It's been a hell of a week in a good way for most fans. But the LSCS series have all closed up, man, and they were wild. They all went 7. I mean, did you guys see both series going 7?
I'll be honest. I thought for a little bit that my predictions of the Dodgers just cruising their way to a World Series was in serious jeopardy. I thought that, my goodness gracious, is the firepower coming out of the Braves just going to be too much for the Dodgers to handle? I mean, after a grueling ALDS, were they going to be able to keep that momentum going? And they did. And listen, the Dodgers come back from a 3-1 deficit. They have some incredible heroes that come out of that game, and we'll kind of get to who we think are heroes and who we think the losers are of each one of those series. But when you have a couple of guys named, Seager and Bellinger and Mookie Betts playing for you, you can do anything. even when Clayton Kershaw is Clayton Kershaw in the postseason. That was the one series I did not expect to go 7 at all. I knew Houston was going to give the Rays some trouble, but I did not see that one going 7.
Yeah, if we actually go back to last week, I will take the credit for this. I called Dodgers in 7.
Did you? There you go.
I flip-flopped because right before the show I had the Braves in 7, and then I flip-flopped it at the last second. I think I even texted Nick, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't have flip-flopped to the Dodgers, but I did have the Dodgers in 7. I also had the Rays in 6, so I was close there too. But 2 great series, man. I mean, both teams kind of came back from the Astros came back on the Rays kind of from a down position. And, man, we had some good baseball. It sucks not seeing the Yankees in there, obviously, but it's just great to have good baseball.
It's not that tough.
It's very tough. Don't worry. I guess the Brewers, but, we got 2 really good series, and I'm pumped for the World Series, man. I really am.
Can we just say real quick how insane it is that at one time Glasnow, Cole, freaking Morton, we're all on one team.
I think Austin Meadows was on that team too.
And Austin Meadows were on one team.
Shane Baz.
It's amazing when you think about how much that talent ends up spreading out and where they make a great effect, but when they were all together, sometimes that doesn't work, right? So there's a thing about chemistry and coaching that obviously comes out and makes those players jump to that next level. It is crazy, especially you almost hate for the Pittsburgh Pirates, man. They're almost like the farm team for every other major league team,
I mean, especially when you talk about Charlie Morton. I mean, what to me is the biggest stat is his games in winner-take-all scenarios this postseason. 4-0 with a .46 ERA. I mean, can you get any more there? Can you get any more clutch? You can't.
You couldn't have asked for a better guy on the mound.
It's crazy. You feel great with that guy on the mound. You feel invincible.
Yep, and that's how Yankee fans felt with Andy Pettitte for all those years. Andy
Pettitte that's right.
Yeah.
Can we all rejoice? Can we all be those petty baseball fans for one moment, gentlemen, and just be so happy that the Astros didn't go to the World Series?
Let me ask you a question about these Astros, though. So there was if they won the World Series, it would have 100% shut up the doubters about the fact that the only way they won was because they cheated.
Sure.
Now, is in any way, shape, or form, did the Houston Astros show everybody that those primary hitters, their core, the Bregmans, Altuve, Springer, and Correa, did they show that they're still very good baseball players and still very good hitters, despite obviously the cheating, not allegations, the actual cheating that happened? Did they still show that they could make it a distance, even all things considered?
Mike, I'll let you go first on that one, man.
Yeah, you know what? They're four guys who, look, you hate to give credit where it's due, but they're four top-down baseball players. If you've played baseball, you know that it is easier to hit a ball when you know how fast it's coming and where it's going. I get that. But these guys, I think most of them were first-round picks or high draft picks. They made it to the show. They were great. I don't think it kind of tarnished them at all, and they showed it with this year. They were a wild card team, barely made it in. If it was a regular season, they wouldn't have made it in. That's neither here nor there. That's something that we can't control. We can't control it. Let's be glad we got baseball. But they're four great talents. I mean, Altuve, Bregman, Correa, and Springer, they're there for a reason. There will, in my opinion, always be a little tarnish on their record, just being a part of it. But I think what they proved this year and in the playoffs that, I don't think they really, really needed it. And that's, before you go, Nick, I think that's what makes it worse. And I think Nick Swisher actually said this, is that it makes it worse because you know that they didn't have to do that.
Correct. I agree with that.
Real quick, I think we should point out Jordan's comment here. No way they're still under 500. The question is, should they have lingered? Altuve struggled most of his season here. But here's the thing, I think, and you just made my point exactly, Mike. It makes it more frustrating because this is such a talented squad, such guys who have such grit and determination and who are winners. They didn't need to do what they did. They didn't need to do it against teams that weren't anywhere in their class. When they have the evidence that shows they were doing it against Seattle late in the season. Why? You're doing it because you're lazy. You're doing it because you get complacent and you're just cheating, and it's terrible. I agree here with Bryce. Listen, no matter what, they still have a solid core of players who can win games at the high level. 150%. And I don't want to take anything away from them, but this makes me more infuriated. And I also think that if they did go to the World Series, and let's pretend they won the World Series, does that maybe also make Rob Manfred look like an idiot? Does it make MLB baseball kind of look like, what the hell happened here? Because to me, the MLB community would have lost their mind. That they get no punishments, they get through with absolutely nothing. There already is rumors that Hitch is going to eventually manage in the MLB again soon, possibly for Detroit. That's what some of the rumors
next year.
And now they go to the World
They're talking
Series
next year
as a team that's under 500, and they win the freaking 10 in a shortened season. I think MLB would have lost their mind. I think everyone would have gone crazy. I don't think they're vindicated. I don't think it's over, but I think anybody who said Altuve is, overrated or Correa is overrated, that's not true. These guys are that good. It was just so disappointing in what they ended up doing.
Do you know the one reason they did not win that World Series? I will blame one player, and it's not really his fault, Justin Verlander. If you have one more pitcher, you have one more win. And Justin Verlander is the kind of guy that in a 7-game series will pitch twice. That is potentially 2 wins that you lost there. And again, it's not his fault. I'll blame him solely for the argument's sake, the fact that he wasn't there. If he had been there, that is a different series. And I think we're talking, if Justin Verlander is on that in that rotation this postseason, that team is in the World Series.
I find it very hard to disagree with you there. I find it very hard. Justin Verlander is, man, he's got the experience, and it seems, he's like wine. We all knew how great he was in Detroit. And, the last 2 years of his career, he's just been on another level getting older. So I agree with you 100%. I really do.
Yeah, it's never good when Zach Greinke has to be your ace anymore. He was once upon a time a number 1 pitcher. He is no longer a number 1. Martin says, if Houston won the World Series, it would have been a black eye after everything that happened the past several months. Couldn't agree more. Absolutely agree.
No, absolutely. And someone who you just brought up is Zach Greinke, and I guess now this might be a good time as ever to jump into our heroes and losers conversations. I personally think that the pitching for Houston in general were the big losers.
I would agree.
I think that the reality is that people that needed to step up didn't. Zach Greinke, to me, just did not do what he needed to do. I agree with you that it's never a good situation when you have to be the ace. And I'm not saying he should have gone in there and pitched 9 innings and pitched a shutout game.
No, but he's just not an ace anymore. But you needed it from him, but you just didn't have it.
You just didn't have it. And to me, he just didn't play like one. That's really what it comes down to for me.
I mean, if you've seen him like the last, I guess not last half, but going into the postseason, I mean, it just looked like he was running on fumes. Like he looked horrible. Like he looked very tired.
He did.
So I do agree with you that, you know, the Astros are a part of a loser, but the loser that I had for the Astros is Alex Bregman. I mean, he was 4 for 28.
Yes, you're reading my mind.
4 for 28, no extra base hits. He did walk once and he struck out 5 times, but you can't be the guy and not be the guy when it counts, okay? This was the whole A-Rod conversation, okay? You're a great player in the regular season. When postseason comes, you're totally gone. You're missing. That can't happen, and we know what Bregman can do in the postseason. So I don't think that this is a thing that happens every year. But when your team is down and your team needs runs, you can't go 4 for 28. You can't have no extra base hits.
Correct.
You just can't.
Well, and to go from almost MVP to that is what's even more. I mean, he was in the conversation of the MVP, and then he, again, like you said, he just doesn't show up, and it's disappointing because you expect those 4 guys to play well, and like you said, he just didn't. And his only time he had the hits in losses were the last game and the first game. Mm-hmm. So he was not they did not win in games where he did not hit well.
Right.
No, and Matthew Boyce, another handsome man from Game Changer Sports Network. We only have handsome people here. Is the outcome different if the Astros had Cole on the mound? I mean, absolutely. Well, yeah. I mean, do you see how Cole pitched in the postseason? I mean, could he have done any more? So absolutely, if he was there, it would have been different.
Even if Cole had pitched even if it was a bad version of Garrett Cole, it would have been better than what they had in Houston this year, and it would have been enough for them to probably win. All they needed was one more win. So you added Verlander, you add even a Cole on a bad day, and they're going to win that series against the Rays.
We got a big comment from Jordan, guys. It's a big one. Mike, you might get cut off. Let's see what happens. Boom! Oh my God! We got the little tip of Mike. Astros are also known around the league for cheating with their pitchers, encouraging more pine tar than unacceptable. Hard thing to govern since the league lets them have some, but everyone talks about around the league. Why Verlander and Cole had massive rotation increases in Houston. Trevor Bauer always called them cheaters for that too.
So yeah, and so we could beat the dead horse. Jordan, I 100% agree with you that they've let them get away, and they're going to have to essentially let several people get away with more, because at this point they've allowed it, and it's just going to spiral out of control, and they're going to get more grief for it. So we're not going to change that. It is what it is, and it sucks. But Nick, to your point, let's talk about people that we were happy with. There's one guy that is in my opinion just come on the spot, and he won't win Rookie of the Year because it was postseason. But there's a guy from Tampa Bay named Arozarena who just absolutely showed up like a freaking madman, and he's a freaking rookie. He's a rookie who went absolutely bananas, hit multiple home runs to win multiple games. I mean, did any of you guys know his name before the playoffs?
No, nothing.
I think I only knew his name because he was on a COVID list, but other than that, I think I could have told anything about him.
I'll be honest, I know his name because I pulled his rookie card out of a baseball pack. That's really the only reason I even knew who he was going into the postseason. I mean, and that kid came in on a tear in the series.
I mean, 321 batting average in the ALCS, a 1.152 OPS. I mean, he's 21-63 in the postseason. And when it was funny, they showed a graphic and they showed a chart of every pitch he's hit a home run off of, where in the strike zone it is. He seems to have hit everything. He hits absolutely everything. He hits curveballs, sliders, fastballs that are down and away. He just seems to be able to hit it on every corner of the plate.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Oh, no, you're good, man. You're good. So, yeah, he really came out of nowhere, and I know it sucked watching him play against the Yankees. He really ate the Yankees up. But, I mean, seven home runs in the DS and the CS. And I know people were saying, oh, you know, he had an extra game to play with or an extra series to play with and all that. But I don't believe he hit any home runs in that wild card series or that first series.
Let me pull that up for you real quick while we keep talking.
I'm almost positive. I think he hit 3 against the Yankees, and I think he ended up with 4 against the Astros. So he stepped up, man. He really stepped up. He had a 382 average in this postseason alone. I believe, I could be wrong too. I think the rest of Tampa Bay is only hitting 173 when you take him out of there. So he's a big surge to that lineup. He seemingly came out of nowhere. And the Dodgers are going to have I believe, a tough time with him. But I think the Dodgers have enough arms to kind of combat him a little bit.
Well, I'll ask this question, guys. And this and right here, bringing up the point of it, set a record for most home runs by a rookie in the playoffs. Obviously, an offensive machine. Now, my question is this: is that sometimes what happens is you figure somebody out after you watch enough tape on them, or sometimes how it would normally be in a season is after they kind of go through a rotation around the league, you figure them out. Are the Dodgers, as you just pointed out, Mike? I mean, they obviously have an insane pitching. A machine on their end. Are they going to be able to figure out him in that first game, or is it going to take 2, maybe even possibly 3 games before it's like, okay, now we kind of know how to pitch to him?
To be honest, and I'll let Gavin take the bulk of this, but I think the bulk of it rests solely on Clayton Kershaw. I think if Clayton Kershaw goes out there in game 1, sets the tone, keeps him maybe 1 for 4 or even 0 for 4. If you let this kid get a feel, just get that momentum, he's going to take your whole rotation deep, and he'll do it. I can honestly say that. So I think this series, Randy Arozarina's whole series, rests on the shoulders of Clayton Kershaw to go out there and set the tone early.
I would agree with you. I mean, Kershaw needs to be the Kershaw that wins ball games, right? Now, we all talk crap about Kershaw, myself included, about his postseason record, how he doesn't show up in big games. He has early so far in this postseason. He did have a bad game most recently, but he's still 2-1 with a just over 3 ERA in the postseason. He's playing some very good baseball on the mound. And he's going up against Glasnow in game 1, right? So, of course, he's going to have to slow them down. But Glasnow has not been able to pitch very deep into the game. So I think the key for game 1, obviously Kershaw needs to pitch well. He can't pitch like crap, but he's got to pitch deep into the game. Because if they're Tampa Bay's winning formula, look at the way they just won the ALCS, right? Pitch 4 or 5 innings, bullpen. 4 or 5 innings, bullpen. You're not going to get away with that with the offense that the Dodgers bring and with the pitching that the Dodgers bring. If Kershaw goes 7, they will win game 1 and game 2, period. Because you got Snell going up in game 2. They haven't named a pitcher for game 2 for the Dodgers. But if you have to go to your bullpen 2 games in a row, maybe even if you do win one of those, you're not going to win game 3 because you're not going to have guys left. And that has been Tampa Bay's method of winning games is get to the 4th or 5th and bullpen. And they've been very good at it. But how many series in a row can you go with that method and end up winning games? Ask the Milwaukee Brewers. I know they're not at the same level this year, but in general, they have had to rely on their bullpen, and they eventually just wear out, and they didn't even have enough gas in the tank to get out of the wild card round this year. So Dodgers, Kershaw sets the tone. If he goes 7, they win this series easily.
Now, question. Do we have the schedule for the World Series? Is it again just a straight, game after game after game after game? Is that really what it is?
It is Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. So that's the first 4, and if necessary, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. So it's 2 in a row, off day, 2 in a row, and then it would be 3 in a row if they get to that part of the series.
I think that could be a huge game changer, and that works in the favor of Tampa because you see what I did there? You see what I did? I didn't even know I did it. I didn't even know I did it. Maybe I should have lied. Maybe I should say I did know I did it.
You probably should have said you did, yeah.
Probably. But I think it's going to be a big game changer that's going to help in the realm for Tampa because as you were just bringing up, you're not going to fall into a situation that happened, in previous series where you might possibly burn out your bullpen. I think that's what ended up being the losing draw for the Yankees was that they blew out their bullpen. Now they also had one very, very badly managed pitching game where that really set them back. But what I'm saying is that as another team that really relies on their bullpen to finish off games for them, you take every advantage you can to rest them. So I honestly think it's going to be really good.
Yeah, and I kind of think we've kind of seen that a little bit with Tampa Bay. I mean, Nick Anderson, who a lot of people thought was the best arm in that bullpen. I argued it was Diego Castillo. That was my personal opinion. But Nick Anderson in the series against Houston 4 1/3, gave up 4 earned runs, which isn't that bad when you actually look at it. I mean, he's given, up a run an inning, but when you rely on him and you rely on guys like Peter Fairbanks and Diego Castillo, it starts to take a toll on you. Your bullpen really needs time to just relax and calm down. An off day, that's why it's great when, like Gavin said, when you have a pitcher that can go 7-8, go to one guy. You don't have to burn through that bullpen. So I do agree with you on that, and I think it could work both ways. I just think that the Dodgers have way too many weapons. I think that when you look at both of these teams' strengths, I think the Dodgers' strengths outweigh the Rays' strengths. And not to get into our predictions early, but I would like to move on to who I think the hero was for the Dodgers. Or we're still on the ALCS. So let's finish up the ALCS because I want to get to.
And we bumped around a little bit, yeah. But, I mean,
yeah, you're good.
I've given my thought. Like I said, I think Bregman was a disappointment. I thought Arozarena was your champion. You could also argue that Charlie Morton was obviously your champion, stepping up big in that last game. He did only go 5 innings. That's why I didn't put him as my top dog from their team. But he was going to be a crucial piece for Tampa Bay going forward. So Arona Reza, Charlie Morton. For Houston, it's the pitching staff and Alex Bregman were my disappointments.
Mm-hmm. I agree with both of you guys. I think we can move on now to the NLCS, which was, I mean, there were some of the most exciting games of baseball this season.
Some ridiculous plays.
I mean, seriously, what a fun series this was, especially the other night. I don't know. I'm gonna throw it to you first, Gavin. Who do you feel stuck out as the, Superman with a cape hero for the Dodgers?
Well, so I mean, you could talk about Corey Seager hitting home runs and winning games like that, but I'm going to talk about something that is not at the plate. My thing is the guy who is not at the plate who made the biggest impact, and for me, it was a momentum swing in addition to great plays. You have to go with Mookie Betts, okay? That man made Mike Trout plays. That guy made Mookie Betts plays. That guy made Cody Bellinger plays. That guy was making plays that other guys around the league make, and we haven't seen him do that as much. I don't think he was happy. He was clearly not happy in Boston, right? He didn't have that same energy. He's playing with a different energy this season. He's playing with an even higher level of energy this postseason. I mean, he is on another level right now that we saw as an MVP back in Boston, and he's finally showing back up as that same exact guy. Not just a good player that was playing that way. He is now the elite, top tier, top 3 type MLB player, and it was strictly based on his defense. He was my best player in the NLCS.
I have to agree with you, Gavin. I mean, the guy he saved you. I don't know how many runs. He saved you just even having guys on base, taking pressure off your pitchers. He absolutely, without question, showed why he was worth the money. He showed that in the regular seasons too, but he showed it even more so again that he is, like as you said, that elite player that you can lean on, that superstar that he always knew he was, that he should have been paid like anyway. So I agree with you. I mean, I do think there were other people who were also heroes in that series as well, but
absolutely.
I think there's no way you could underscore what Mookie Betts brings to the table for the Dodgers and how much he is a winning factor for them.
Yep, and that's exactly what I was trying to get to. We can look at Corey Seager, and Corey Seager is probably the sexy pick. 310, he had 11 RBIs. He really did carry that team. But like you guys had already said, I mean, Mookie Betts' defense, and these aren't plays that like, oh, good, you robbed a home run, your team's down 10 runs. Like these are run-scoring plays in close games. I mean, in Game 6, he robbed Ozuna. I mean, he robbed Ozuna extra bases. Atlanta was already off the scoreboard. Or they weren't on the scoreboard yet. Game 7, robs a tying home run. Or, I'm sorry, to put them up 2. So, I mean, he's done incredible. Like you said, Gavin, he just wasn't happy in Boston. You could see it. It looks like he's out there having fun. He was only 6 for 24, but when you're a guy like Mookie Betts, I'm not worried about 6 for 24, to be honest with you, as much as I would be for maybe some other guy. But sure. the stuff that he did, as far as on the defensive side goes, it really saved that whole series for them. And to be honest with you, I was hard pressed to find a loser for the Dodgers. I know that there were a couple names out there, but like Bellinger, he didn't really have a good of a series. I think he only batted 200. But the hits that he got were in big moments. He had big moment hits. We've seen it in Game 7. He came off with that crazy home run that I think just landed. So he came up with great hits. I looked at Max Muncy as well, but I mean he had 2 home runs, 6 RBIs. He only batted 227, but I'll be honest,
They're gonna need more from him, though.
They are. They definitely are, especially against a rotation and a bullpen like Tampa Bay. But I was just very hard pressed to find a loser for the Dodgers.
I would agree, and I think if you go to it to the Dodgers, you can't really find a loser. You got guys that need to step it up more, but definitely no losers off that team. 3 for 3 on Mookie. So here's the interesting part, Heather. Dustin May. Let's talk about Dustin May for a second, right? And he choked in that last game, right? He did not do it. Now he's a rookie, so we got to give him just one free pass on that, right? But he is going to have to step up, and he's going to have to win a game or at least get them deep in a game this postseason. Now, I like Dustin May. I've been collecting his baseball card. I have got probably 6 or 7 and multiple of the autographed ones. I like the kid. I think he's got a ton of potential and a lot of good stuff. I think he choked under the big pressure of a big game. And I think now he's got a taste of it. Now he's going to sit down with Clayton Kershaw and Dave Roberts, and I think that Dustin May is going to be a key piece for them in this postseason. This World Series coming up here. I think he is very, very important, on the same level of importance as Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
I think that you're absolutely right. And I mean, what have we been talking about the last couple of weeks with this postseason, with this type of a season that we had? Having the experience in the playoffs was going to be a difference maker and for a lot of these teams. And I think that you saw a lot of situations throughout many different series that we had so far in this postseason that experience often leads it to that you don't crumble under pressure. He was in a very, very, very tight spot, and he crumbled a little bit. Now, like you said, you don't get judged on having a bad game. You get judged on if that turns into a constant reoccurring issue. What exactly like you said, he sits down with Clayton Kershaw and says, hey, bro, it's good. We brush it off. Let's see what we made mistakes, and let's go forward because we need you. Do you want to win that ring? Do you want to finally get what's been deservedly ours, you could arguably say, for the last 2 seasons? Let's go out there and get this ring. We need you to kind of keep your head on straight a little bit. So I think he's going to be fine. I really do. Is he going to be lights out for this, for this season? I don't know. But I think he's going to be fine in the long run.
Yep.
Now, if you want to talk about disappointing from the pitching standpoint, we have to obviously look at the stay in the NLCS and talk about the Atlanta Braves, right? And I think obviously that without a doubt that cost them. They hit the ball well. They scored 5 runs, 8 runs, 3 runs, 10 runs, 3 runs, 3 runs, 1 run, 3 runs, right? So they put up numbers. But you look at a guy like Max Fried, who pitched very well in the regular season. He absolutely choked it in the postseason. He pitched to 12 innings total, and he gave up 4 earned runs. And he got the no decision in 1 game, and he got the loss in the second game. So you look at some of those pitchers that they expected to be able to lean on, and they just weren't able to do it. And in the long run, the pitching is what ended up costing them. Bats went a little quiet, but for the most part, they lost out big because of that pitching staff in Atlanta.
No, definitely. Brandon's asking, saying, can the Dodgers trust Kershaw? Do they need to trust him? I mean, I think
they have no choice. They have no choice.
Yes. The multiple Cy Young Award winner, the Clayton Kershaw. You need Clayton Kershaw in this World Series. Yes, Brandon.
Yeah, you don't have a choice. You have to trust Clayton Kershaw. I think you can trust Clayton Kershaw. I think he realizes that the pressure is on him, but I think he's ready for that pressure. I think he understands that he has to get that monkey off his own back, right? The circus monkey off his own back, right? And it's time for him to not just win 1 game in a postseason series. It's time for him to win multiple games. He needs to be ready in game 1. He needs to then be back ready to go for game 5 if necessary, 6, whatever whatever it lines up to be. He's got to be ready to win 2 games. He's got to be able to win 2 games going 7+ innings each time. They can trust them. They need to trust them. It's time for him to trust himself and go out there and kick some butt.
Yep, and that's it. I mean, and the Dodgers, I mean, they really, I mean, because you have Clayton Kershaw, you have Walker Buehler, Julio Urias that they have, just as far as all the arms that they have. I mean, Dustin May, like you mentioned, Bruce Dark-Raderall, who I absolutely love. But it doesn't matter if the guy that's supposed to go out there and, like Gavin said, pitch 7 or 8 innings and get you that win. It doesn't matter if he can't do that. The Yankees, I'm sorry, if Garrett Cole isn't on the Yankees don't go as far into the postseason as they did.
Not even a question.
I mean, obviously they didn't go that far. I mean, they didn't make it to the championship series, but still, that's what Clayton Kershaw needs to be. Clayton Kershaw needs to be that guy that when what's it called? Sorry, I couldn't even think. But when Garrett Cole, when they said, "Hey, we need you to go on 3 days rest," he's like, "Oh, there's no question." Tyler Glasnow, like, there's no question. You need to be that guy. Be that guy that goes up to Dave Roberts and says, "Hey, give me the ball. That's it. Don't shy away from it. Demand that ball. You can't do it unless you're not confident."
Absolutely.
So the question from Heather here is Tyler Glasnow would be great help for the Rays. So Tyler Glasnow has game 1 against Clayton Kershaw, right? But let's take a look at what he did in the NLCS. In the first game that he pitched, he ended up getting the loss. He pitched 6 innings, gave up 4 runs, all earned. 2 of them were 2 home runs. He did not pitch well in that game. He is going to have to pitch significantly better if he's going to end up. That was game 4. And then I think it was a game. Did he pitch in game 7? I'm drawing a blank on this one. No, he didn't pitch 7, but he did not pitch well. He did not pitch that great in the series before. So he is going to be, if they have a chance to win this, and he's going up against Clayton Kershaw, he has to do the same thing. He's got to go 7 innings. He's got to get through that order, and he's got to not give up the long ball. 2 home runs in that game ended up giving him that loss, and he has to start. Is he talented enough? Yes. Is this too big of a stage for him? I think we're seeing a guy that is not ready for this big of a stage this season. I think he is gone by the 3rd or 4th inning in the first game of the series. I don't think Glasnow is going to help them win a game in the World Series.
Gavin, you said at the beginning of these playoffs or in the ALDS that you honestly felt that the one who hits the most home runs is going to go to the World Series and win. And I mean, that's exactly what the Dodgers have been doing. It's exactly what the Rays have had to need to do, or specifically one guy on the Rays has needed to do.
Hey, one guy is doing it, yep.
One guy to do it. But I think you might be right. I think that if I'm the Rays, you obviously have an incredible talent in Glasnow. He can pitch well. I mean, even the game you just said, didn't pitch well. One could argue 2 bad pitches. The other 2, who knows exactly how? I forgot exactly how those transpired. And 4 runs, is that really such an impossible deficit to come back from? I don't know about that. That also then leads to the problems of he also at the same time needs to pitch well and have the run support. That's not just Randy. So
right.
I do see your concerns, but I think that he now knows what he's done. He knows the fact is that he can't give up the long ball like that, and they know they have to give him run support to give him the confidence to pitch the way that they know he can do. So I think he's going to be fine. I don't know if he's going to get knocked down 3-4, but I mean,
I hope not. I hope not. I hope it's a darn good game. I hope they both go 7, and it's down to the last inning. I hope it's a heck of a game.
Yeah, I mean, I as well do. I just don't know if I have that kind of faith. I don't know if I have that kind of faith, only because he's pitched 19 1/3 innings and he's given up 6 home runs, which isn't that bad when you have run support, just like you said. So you're going to face a team that puts up runs on the scoreboard while you rely on keeping the score low, getting into pitching matchups so you can win by 1 or 2, 3 runs. You can't do that going up against this Los Angeles Dodgers team. There are not many holes in this lineup. 1 through 9 will beat you. And even though, we've seen some slumps in the NLCS, there's still world-renowned hitters that will beat you if you do not be pinpoint with your pitches. So we know that the home run, he's had a trouble with the home run. He needs to focus it. He needs to bear that down because I'm sorry, when I look at the Rays offense, I do not see them being able to keep up with the Dodgers offense in a big, rally kind of game.
No, I mean, when you think about it, it comes down to this is a fresh series, so nothing else matters, right? Yep. So trends are important and all that, but at the same time, this is back to square one for these guys. These guys all can now. It's World Series, right? This isn't another playoff series. This is the series to end all series. Every guy is going to wipe away whatever all just happened, good or bad, and they're going to come out swinging. Nick, to your point, you had mentioned I talked about home run of these 2 teams. Now, obviously, Rosarenas, setting a rookie record and all that. Who's got the home run firepower top to bottom of the lineup? Tampa or LA? it's LA, right? Those guys, any single guy in that lineup can drop a home run at any given time. And at the end of the day, we're not seeing teams manufacture runs. We're not seeing a lot of bunts. We're not seeing hit and runs. We're not seeing stolen bases. We're seeing bombs, balls in the gap, that sort of thing. So when it comes down to it, the big boppers in LA will end up winning this series for them versus Atlanta, versus Tampa Bay. Sorry, should I say? I wish it weren't that way, but I don't see a way of overcoming that power up and down that lineup in LA.
Hey, that's baseball today. I mean, baseball today is home run and strikeouts. You know, my dad, he's like, oh, the Yankees strike out too much. I'm like, Dad, look at the rest of the league. The whole league's striking out. It's not just, I mean, that's all baseball is today. It's home runs and strikeouts.
And what's amazing is like the analytics. It's incredible how there are certain things that just left baseball.
Yeah.
No one bunts.
Nah.
We saw one bunt in any of the LCSs. Martin Maldonado, who strikes out at a really high rate and is a guy who was ground into a double play. The only reason he bunted is because he is high risk for grounding into a double play.
Right. I mean, so no one for strategy wise or defensive move or just to move base runners bunts anymore. I don't think one person bunted on the Yankees their entire postseason. No. The Yankees, just because that's just the team I know. I know for a fact that not one person bunted, and that really is indicative of how everybody has been playing.
That is as you talked about, that's the analytics.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
No,
you can blame two things on that: exit velocity and launch angle. Everybody wants those numbers. Everybody wants those numbers.
Guess who never had that when he played all the way through college and all that?
Yeah.
I was the guy, I'd hit a double in the gap and steal third. I hit a single and steal second, right? I didn't hit home runs. I got on base. But we played a different style of ball. I'm not exactly an old guy. I'm in my early 30s, right? But we played a different style of baseball. Obviously, every one of us wanted to hit a home run, but we weren't swinging. We were taught not to swing for them. We were taught, let it happen as the swing goes through. Snap those wrists through and hit it in the gap instead. That was what we were taught. Now these guys, I mean, you talk about their bodies are taught to be tilted, like you talked about, for that launch angle. We didn't even think about those things back in the day.
I don't even think I heard launch angle.
In the first inning, we're a turning point. Yeah.
Well, that goes without saying.
Definitely, 100%. So, I mean, guys, final thoughts maybe on the NLCS. I don't want to get into our prediction of the World Series yet because we actually have another topic we want to talk about just before we get to the World Series. So, any more thoughts on this series, or do you think we can move on?
I'm good.
Mike, any more painful thoughts?
Nope.
You want to kick it? No, you're good. All right.
No painful.
So real quick, before we go, guys, we're just about 10 minutes over the halfway point of the show. I want to thank everyone for watching us, as we always do. Thank you for everybody who is watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitch. If you haven't started following us on Twitch or watching us on Twitch, forget Facebook, forget YouTube, forget following us on Circus Monkey Sports or Game Changer Sports Network on Facebook. Get over to Twitch. Follow us there at official_GCSN. Again, that's official_GCSN. Those numbers really help us out to getting closer to monetization over there. So we appreciate you for that. So one thing we wanted to start doing, because listen, the season is going to end, and we have to start talking about other topics just besides, the postseason, what's going on. So one of the things that me and Gavin and Mike have been talking about is doing something along the lines of going through each team and kind of talking about what their off season is going to look like. And I think the way to do that is to start with the latest teams who just didn't make it to the World Series and go backwards from there. So I think today, guys, let's talk about the Braves. What do the Braves need to do this offseason to not just get back to being a breath away from the World Series, but getting into the World Series? We now know, as much of a weird season as this was, it did eventually, as I had said at the beginning of the season, eventually those good teams who were good most often were the ones who were great. They were the ones that rose to the top. What do the Braves need to do to be better than the Dodgers? Really, because those are the ones that they have to target on their back. What do they have to do to be better than the Dodgers to get into the World
Series? Start us off, Mike.
So I'm going to be honest with you. I look at this team, and the first thing that came to my mind was not much, to be honest. I think that they may be able to get another arm out there just because, like we've talked about, the arms in the postseason kind of went away. But you have Max Fried, Ian Anderson, you got Bryce Wilson, and Kyle Wright. Mike Soroka should be coming back next year. He was a piece that, they missed a lot. They got Cole Hamels. He didn't really do much. I know Mike Fultonevich, he got sent down. along with some other arms. But when you look at this team, Ronald Acuna and Ozzie Albies, they're signed through 2026. Freddie Freeman and Travis d'Arnaud, they're signed through next year. Dansby Swanson and Adam Duvall signed through 2022. This is a very young team that I believe needs to stick mostly together. The two people that they have coming off the books as far as position player goes, Marcelo Zuna, who I think is going to probably want some money. He was on a one-year deal, and he actually did pretty well. And Nick Markakis, who I love Nick Markakis. I was a big fan of him in Baltimore, but he's 36 years old. All right, and that's not to say that he didn't play great. He didn't play horrible, but I think either he or the Braves are going to think about moving on. So I think that the majority of that team needs to stay intact. Could they probably go out and get another pitcher? Absolutely. Will it be a Trevor Bauer type of pitcher? I don't see that happening. I just feel like if you're a Braves fan, like, let me put this into context. Yankee fans, when the Yankees lose, we go through this whole, oh my God, it's the end of the world. We're never making it back. It's done. I hate it. If you're a Braves fan,
trade Stanton, trade everything, sell the stadium, everything's bad. Hal, we need George. Where's sucks? It's the worst. It's
Gavin,
the biggest temper tantrum in the world. But
Gavin,
I think
you may not understand this. You may not understand this, but what was Daniel Bryan saying? Yankee fans are very fickle. We are fickle. So before you go, I'm just saying, if you are a Braves fan, don't burn your house down. Don't worry. You guys, I say in 3 years, probably closer to 2, you guys will be at the big dance. Don't worry about it.
I have to say, Mike, I agree with you so much because the feeling, if you're a Braves fan, and a feeling among the Braves themselves is they have something special here with these guys. That they have a really good amount of chemistry and great. I want to pull up some quotes here. We got Mr. Freeman here saying this is the start of something special for a long time. It hurts right now. It really does. This moment sucks, them obviously losing and not being able to go forward. But the Atlanta Braves organization is set up for success for a long time. This group of guys we had this year started something special. And he uses that exact phrase. I think the manager would go on this eventually say later, a lot of our young players grew up in these last 3 months. I am as excited as I can be about the future of this organization and club. I mean, they feel like they have a great squad right now. They feel like they have an organization that develops great players. When you feel like you're in that type of motion, yeah, this stinks. You lost in the ALCS. But hey, dude, we were a breath away from going to the big dance, and look with what we had. So build on top of that and feel good about what you have there. I agree with you. I think they do need to maybe, if you really want to get over the hump, go out and get that pitcher. Not some crazy deal, but don't pick up another pitcher, but work with what you got there. You don't have to make a lot of crazy moves if I'm the Braves.
No, I tend to agree with you. Like I said, they do need one more pitcher, but the biggest thing is they got to find a way to stay healthy, right? They have, Mike, to your point, they have a good staff already, pitching staff already in place. They just weren't all on the field when you needed them. Yep. And obviously, you can't always just instantly wave a magic wand and make yourself healthy. But they got to find a way to stay healthy. They got to make sure they're getting there. It's tough. We're seeing it in football this year a lot, right? We're seeing a lot of injuries and some issues with that because it's a weird year. We didn't get spring training. We didn't get the workouts like we were supposed to. We didn't get the guys stretched out like we were supposed to because we started it, then had to stop, right? And then we had to come back. And then it's a weird season and it's extra playoff games. It's obviously this whole season is something crazy and hopefully we never see it again. But if they can stay healthy, if those guys can get the offseason programs worked in, they're going to be in a good position. On the offensive side of things, like you said, they're young, they're talented. You got Acuna, right? You got Swanson, and you got a couple really good years left with Freddie Freeman. You got a lot of years of baseball in Freddie, but you got a couple years of really good baseball left in Freddie Freeman, right? So you got a couple years to put something together. They should be excited. I think they're going to be in a position like this every single season for the next 3 to 5 years. It just depends on if they can get that extra one piece to push them over the hump to make something happen. And I know you guys talk about being Yankees fans. I'll say about my Brewers fans, we haven't. The last time they even made a World Series, I wasn't even alive yet. Okay, so I feel the pain of that sort of thing. And I love my Brewers. I love my Brewers fans, but we are the biggest bunch of freaking crybabies I've ever seen in a sports organization. I'll tell you one thing about Brewers fans, and this doesn't mean all of my friends. I'm going to categorize everybody's one, so don't everybody get offended and cancel me in 2020. But every single sports group I'm in that is strictly about Brewers, one day Stearns is a genius and Craig Counsell's amazing and Christian Yelich is a god. And the next day, trade Yelich, fire Counsell, and who the hell is David Stearns, right? That all of those things get said every single day, whether you win or lose. Then we get on a win streak and they go, oh, it doesn't matter, we're going to lose anyway. It's like, for goodness sakes, I have my highs and my lows throughout the season like any other sports fan, but at the end of the day, it's like, just stop crying about it. That's the biggest thing is we don't have a culture of winning in Milwaukee baseball in a very long time. We get it in short spurts, so we don't have the same energy that you guys do in New York. We have a slightly different one. We have a slightly crybaby mentality here in Milwaukee. So I'm gonna throw that out there. Milwaukee fans, stop crying so much. Enjoy the fact that you have a Christian Yelich on your doggone team. We haven't had him in a long time. We had him for a few years. Ryan Braun was never what Christian Yelich is going to be. So moving along, because I'm going to get yelled at by a few of my Brewers fans.
They're texting you right now.
I think his phone is getting physically heavier by the amount of text messages he's probably getting.
Half of the text will be yelling at me. The other half will be like, "You're right.
You're right." Yeah.
But we always lose. We have to trade Stanton. We have to trade Boone. Sucks.
You should trade Stanton while he's learned something, but that's a whole other topic.
Well, that's another topic for a different
No
day.
one's taking that contract.
No, nobody's. Well, it's just like Ryan Braun was stuck in Milwaukee for all those years because he could have done something for another team as a DH, but because the contract was so bad, no one was going to take an often injured player on a horrible, horrible contract.
Horrible
contract. The worst trade deal I've ever seen. Anyway, let's go on. Let's move on here as we come into the last 12 minutes of the show, guys. What's tonight? Tonight's game one. So you know what we got to do our World Series preview and predictions. Mike, I'm going to let you go first here. I think we all kind of agree-ish to, who's probably going to win. But maybe we have different thoughts on in how many games. So tell us who you think's going to win and in how many games. Mike.
So I want to put this out there and say I am not trying to discredit anything that Tampa Bay has done this year. What they have done is magnificent with the payroll that they have, with COVID. I mean, obviously all the teams deserve a round of applause for just playing baseball through this whole thing.
Absolutely.
So in no way do I want to discredit what Tampa has done. However, I am a realist, and when I look at these two rosters, I don't see any way that the Rays win this World Series. I just don't. I think that the Dodgers bullpen, as I said earlier, there's really no holes in that lineup. The bullpen, it all rests on Clayton Kershaw's shoulders. We get that, but I believe, and this may be crazy to some, I believe we are going to see the Dodgers in 5. That's what I think is going to happen. I think Tampa gets one game, maybe, game 4. I think it'll be 3-0 by that point. I think maybe they grab game 4. I see the Dodgers in 5, and that's just it. I just look at these two teams, and like I said earlier, I feel like the Dodgers' strengths outweigh farly more than the Tampa Bay Rays' strengths. That's just how I see it.
Mike, you are doing what the Paul Heyman would do and say the Cinderella story is over. Brock Lesnar is here, and he's
not
going
a prediction.
It's
not a prediction.
It is not a prediction.
This is a spoiler.
It is a spoiler. We have to horribly plug our show on
Wednesday. I'll be there.
And he'll be there. We're very excited for that. Gavin, I'll let you go before I make my prediction.
So we've all said it so far, myself included, that the how did the Rays even get to this far? Houston wasn't going to get this far. Miami, shouldn't even be in the playoffs. How did they get that far? We've all sat there and go. So we sit there and go. We want to knock the Tampa Bay Rays. And we want to say that that there's no chance. But here's the reality of it: there is no chance. And the reality of it is that the Rays
I didn't know where he was going there for a second.
I was like, where is Gavin going here?
Rays in 7. No, just kidding. Dodgers in 5. I like the Rays. I will be rooting for the Rays. I would rather see somebody from a smallish market team win versus the Dodgers. I like the team. I think they have a good pitching staff. I don't think they have a good enough pitching staff. I think that they will swing the bat with them. And the game they win, will be a close game, and they will win because of a weird home run or an unusual play or an error by the Dodgers. So they're going to win a game. But I think the Dodgers are going to just rake home runs. I think you're going to see Kershaw, and you're going to see Walker Buehler, and even Dustin May's going to step his game up, and he's going to pitch well. I think you're going to see those guys win games for them. So, yes, I've had a little fun with you guys there. I love the Cinderella story. We've had a ton of great storylines this postseason, but the crazy storylines end here. It is the Dodgers series. If they choke this, then Clayton Kershaw should just retire. He should just go, you know what, screw it. Or he should just stop pitching in postseason. He should pitch through the regular 162 and then call it a day. Because he's a ridiculous regular season pitcher.
The regular season.
He's ridiculous. He's insane. In a 162 game season, there is not a better pitcher in baseball in our lifetime right now. Maybe not our, in the recent time in his generation of baseball players, because you could argue the Nolan Ryans, because I was around when he played and all that, right? But there is no better regular season pitcher, and there is no more sketchy pitcher in the postseason than Clayton Kershaw, or other than maybe Yu Darvish. But yes, they will win this game series in 5. Dodgers will smash multiple home runs. They're going to win game 1, 7-1. I'm going to throw an even bigger prediction. Glasnow will be out in 3 or 4, 7-1. Kershaw wins that game.
Ooh.
Wow.
Nick, when you're done with your prediction, I have a question I want to ask you two fine gentlemen. So,
wow.
You know.
Oh boy, this should be fun.
Goodness gracious. I mean, guys, I think that this is, they've been having the storyline of the little engine that could. Just to give some crazy numbers, this was brought up again today. Clayton Kershaw and Mookie Betts command a salary of about $26,308,642. The Tampa Bay Rays, as a whole organization, command 28. So, I mean, it's nuts. It's
small market baseball.
Small market baseball. They are the little engine that could. The little engine that could is about to drive itself into a buzzsaw. They are going against something. They have not. Let's be fair. And even I love to talk up my Yankees. I really do. But let's be fair here. They have not in any way, shape, or form faced this type of power yet. They haven't. They are not, in my opinion, not. I agree with you, Matt. Those numbers are just wow. I know. It's nuts. They are not ready. They are not ready. Again, I'm going to make a wrestling reference because it's funny. They are not ready for them. I think that he'll know who that is.
That's opposite.
They are not ready. They are not ready for the Dodgers. I really don't. Now, I actually think it's going to go 6 games. I know you guys are saying 5. I'm actually going to give them that they're going to steal 2 games, go to 6. But I do think, without question, the Dodgers win. It's now they've gone to the World Series 3 in the last 4 years. I think that they're a team that, they feel that they
got to win eventually.
They got to win eventually. I mean, it's like, come on. They haven't won. They're there. You're here, brother. You're here. Now they can say 2018, we got screwed. 2019, we had buzzers. They have buzzers. So honestly, though, I think that they're not 2019, excuse me, 2017, 2018. I think that they are primed. This is their year, as their manager said. They win the World Series.
Matt's got to go, and he's going to call. Matt's calling Dodgers in 4. Get your brooms.
Wow.
It's tough to sweep a team in a World Series. It's tough. It is tough for that.
Wow.
All right, Mike, you got a question for us. Hit us with it, brother.
Here we go. Now, this may seem a little out of left field, but I think if you follow baseball, it may not be that out of left field. Because we heard it all last year after the World Series happened. If somehow the Rays end up defeating the Dodgers in this World Series, is this the end for David Roberts in Los Angeles?
No.
Because last year we had a lot of Dodger fans, a lot. And I'm not talking about a small section of fans saying fire him. There were a lot of Dodger fans calling for Dave Roberts' job. So I would like to know if you think if this is a loss, if they kind of go in a different direction.
I think if it's a loss, the fans will be calling for his head again, and I think it'll be all over the news and all over sports, all over again. The thing is, he got him to the World Series. Yes, they couldn't close the deal. Mm-hmm. Think about the season that we've survived through, right? I don't think any successful team is going to let their manager go considering a COVID 2020. Now, I know we lost Leland in Detroit. They're saying it's health reasons. We all know better than that, right? But they're a terrible team, so they let him go. They were terrible before 2020's craziness. Dave Roberts is a proven coach who's gotten him to the World Series. He's coached well. The players love him. The players respect him. He's a smart head coach. I don't think no matter what, unless they get swept or something crazy, but even if they lost, outside of maybe being swept, there's no way that guy is not the manager of the Dodgers next season.
I have to completely agree. See, I almost did something there. Completely agree with Gavin. I do not think in any way, shape, or form LA would even consider, even think, even entertain the notion of letting him out or of getting rid of him. Going back to what Gavin just said, I feel like I'm just echoing him. But if you are successful at all in this season, if you are a team, I mean, there's no way. Mike, I'll put it this way. The Yankees are not going to fire Aaron Boone, right?
You don't have to yell.
But doesn't mean there's no way they're going to fire Dave. It's not going to happen.
Hey, they fired Joe Girardi. He was a game away from the World Series.
He wasn't as good a coach.
Nowhere near as good as a coach. Nowhere.
I'm just saying. I just posed a question. You don't have to yell at me. We had 5 minutes. I figured it was a good closer. That's it. I'm never coming back.
It was a great closing. To end the season, I don't think you're going to see. You're going to see some players that are going to have some issues. But I don't think you're going to see any managers of teams having problems. I think that generally speaking, most general managers and ownership are going to understand that this season is something we've never seen before. Hopefully, we'll never see again, right? Hopefully, we're back to normal, with regular spring training and all that next year. And then that's going to be the thing. But I think there's going to be some short leashes next season. I think you might see a few managers let go at the midpoint of the year for underperforming because they were given a pass this season. I'll talk about my team in Milwaukee. Craig Counsell is a homegrown. He's from Milwaukee, right? He's played in Milwaukee, but that is a talented team, but they weren't built for a 60-game season. That team was built to survive 162 games, and with all the weird rules and all that. So he's going to get a pass this year, but he has underperformed as a manager for a few years now. So he is going to be on a short leash if we get a regular season back next year. I think that is the trend we're going to see. We'll probably see a couple managers let go at the All-Star break.
I'll ask this question, guys, just before we wrap here. Hitch, Cora, do they have jobs next season?
Hinch, yes. Cora, no.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I mean, I don't know. The way I look at it, I feel like there will be one team out there that's like, you know what? Hey, let's give it a shot. But do I want to see either of them with jobs? I'll be honest. I'm petty. Hell no, I don't. But yeah.
Okay. Hinch obviously was made to be the scapegoat, and yes, he did something he shouldn't have done. And no, I'm not going to give him a free pass. I can see him coming back, right? I can see it. There's already teams talking about him returning, but the Alex Cora situation is just kind of strange, right? They never talked about him, right? He just kind of disappeared. Sure. They just kind of swept it away. And now we heard that they got in trouble. There was some stuff, but we don't really know the extent of what was actually done because there was a deeper investigation because he was supposedly the kingpin behind it all. But it suddenly just all of a sudden just kind of went away. And then, oh, by the way, he's getting punished, but we're not going to really talk about it. But we're going to go back to baseball. So I think there's more to the Cora situation than the whole, even just the Houston players and AJ Hinch and all those guys. I think Cora had way more issues deeper and with multiple teams to the point where if they even let him on a baseball field, there's going to be issues because reporters are going to be looking for the issues. I think Cora has a deep, dark secret that the MLB is hiding even further, and Cora will never be seen on a baseball field.
Wow.
What about Beltran?
Beltran will be gone for a couple of years, and he'll be back not in a managerial aspect, but he'll be back as some sort of coach, work his way back into it. But again, Cora there's something about Cora. There's something there that isn't there with Beltran or with Hinch. Hinch is disgraced in a mild fashion, but if he can come back out with a different team and win some games, then people will start to forget about it. There's something there.
Write down this date, October 19th, 2020 at 8:59 on episode 12 of the Wind-Up.
Something like that.
I don't know. But he said it right here that Mr. Gavin, the Circus Monkey, said it, that there is something going on here with our man Cora. Something is fishy.
There's no way there's not.
No way there's not.
Ooh,
well, guys,
I
think we have just come to the hour of our show. I think we covered pretty much everything. Guys, in the comment section, let us know if there's anything else you want us to talk about. We'll try to cover it next week. We'll see where the world is at that point. We'll see if we're still talking about a World Series or not. I want to give a big thank you to Mike for showing up today. He says he wants to do this more often, but he lies a lot, so I don't know.
I don't think Gavin wants me here. I don't think Gavin wants me here. That's the.
I don't mind you. I like it. I mean, I'm outnumbered by Yankees fans, which isn't normal. But I can handle some New York fans. I can handle it.
Hey.
You can handle it. Well, and as always, our friend Gavin. Guys, I'm Nick Lombardi. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time.
Go Cowboys.
Oh, God.
Ew.
I'm not even going to end on